How did you become friends?
On Facebook.
How did that come about?
I can't remember if I added her or she added me. I'm not 100% sure. But like, I've got loads of people on it, and I have a habit of accepting anyone.
In November 2015, a 15-year-old girl from Leicestershire disappeared. What happened to Kayleigh Haywood would shock a nation and fundamentally change how we think about online safety. But this isn't just another true crime story. This is about how a tragedy became a movement, how a family's grief turned into a mission to save other children, and how understanding what happened could protect someone you love. Kayleigh was a typical teenager. She loved spending time with friends, she was close to her family, and like millions of young people, she was active on social media. She had dreams, plans for the future, and a whole life ahead of her. In just 13 days, a stranger on the internet would take all of that away. This case exposed the dark reality of online grooming in a way that Britain had never seen before. It led to one of the most powerful safety campaigns ever created. And today, we're going to examine exactly what happened, how it happened, and what we all need to know to prevent it from happening again. October 31st, 2015, Halloween. While most teenagers were thinking about costumes and parties, Kayleigh Haywood received a Facebook message from someone she'd never met before. His name was Luke Harlow, a 27-year-old man from Ibstock, Leicestershire. Within 10 minutes of that first message, they had exchanged phone numbers. It seemed innocent enough. But what happened next reveals the calculated nature of online grooming. Over the next 13 days, Kayleigh and Harlow exchanged 2,643 messages, primarily by text. That's an average of over 200 messages per day. Harlow bombarded Kayleigh with attention, compliments, and what appeared to be genuine affection. He told her she was beautiful, special, different from other girls. He made her feel seen and valued in a way that seemed exciting and mature. This is textbook grooming behavior. Predators don't start with demands or threats. They start with flattery, attention, and the promise of being understood. They create an emotional dependency. They make their target feel like this connection is unique and special.
Anyone who tries, you know what I mean, regardless of whether the name rings a bell or anything. I've got like 2,000 odd people. But I'm not sure whether she added me or I added her, but basically as soon as we were friends on it, we just started talking, just like, oh hey, how are you?
Harlow presented himself as someone who cared deeply about Kayleigh. He was patient, attentive, and willing to listen. To a 15-year-old navigating the complexities of teenage life, this kind of focused attention can feel intoxicating. And that's exactly what predators count on. The messages became increasingly intimate. Harlow was building trust, breaking down boundaries, and preparing Kayleigh for what would come next. He was grooming her step by calculated step. By November 13th, Harlow convinced Kayleigh to meet him in person. She told her parents she was staying at a friend's house. Instead, she took a taxi to Harlow's flat in Ibstock. What Kayleigh didn't know was that Harlow had a neighbour named Stephen Beedman, a 28-year-old man with a disturbing interest in Harlow's online activities. Beedman knew what Harlow was doing. He had been watching, waiting, and planning. When Kayleigh arrived at Harlow's flat, she initially seemed to be willingly spending time with him, but the situation quickly deteriorated. Harlow sexually assaulted Kayleigh that evening. The teenager, far from home and in an increasingly frightening situation, realized she was in serious danger. The next day, November 14th, Beedman came to the flat. Together, Harlow and Beedman gave Kayleigh alcohol. The situation escalated further when Harlow assaulted her again. Kayleigh, terrified and recognizing the grave danger she was in, did what any young person would do in that situation. She tried to escape. She managed to get out of the flat and ran. She was running for her life through the darkness. but Beadman chased after her into a remote area near Sence Valley Forest Park. There, he raped and then killed her with a brick.
Officers are continuing to search woodland on the outskirts of Ibstock. Yesterday they were focusing their efforts inside the country park. Today they're following up along the pavements, looking for any clues that could lead them to Kayleigh. As officers search gullies and drains, detectives are questioning two men on suspicion of the 15-year-old's murder. Kayleigh's parents say their hearts are breaking. The community is coming together in a candlelit vigil. News they feared.
This is an extremely traumatic time for her parents, who are deeply worried. And today we have told the family that we are treating her disappearance as a murder inquiry.
On November 17th, 2015, Kayleigh's body was discovered. The investigation moved swiftly. Both Harlow and Beadman were arrested. The digital trail of messages, the timeline, and forensic evidence built an overwhelming case against them. In July 2016, both men were convicted. Harlow was sentenced to 12 years for grooming and false imprisonment. Beadman received life in prison with a minimum term of 35 years for rape and murder.
4 hours. And she was that drunk. I couldn't get much conversation out of her. She'd been with Lou for Friday.
See, the issue is, she's run out, possibly, with her phone, without her trousers, and there's a complete, as you've described, disarray in the flat. The speakers are over.
So there's obviously been a struggle. I actually cannot explain that.
Because whatever's happened there has triggered everything.
That is the trigger. That is the trigger point
absolutely.
of everything that's happened.
Are you having to control her by hold her, or is she walking independently?
By this point, she's walking independently.
But up until that point?
No.
And how are you managing to control her?
Just pull her out.
Are you using anything else? Is
No.
it just your presence? Is there any weapons?
No weapons.
Okay.
He would die in prison in April 2021, never having shown genuine remorse for what he had done to an innocent child. Looking back at those 13 days of messages, experts identified clear patterns that parents and young people need to recognize. These are the red flags of online grooming. Excessive attention and flattery is one of the first signs. Predators shower their targets with compliments and make them feel special in ways that seem too good to be true, because they are. There's also rapid escalation, moving from first contact to exchanging numbers within minutes, sending hundreds of messages daily, and quickly pushing for in-person meetings. Secrecy requests are another major warning sign. The predator asks the young person not to tell their parents or friends about the relationship, creating a sense of us against the world.
Harlow and Kayleigh exchanged 2,643 texts over a 13-day period. Did you have any idea what was going on?
Not at all. It was nothing out of the ordinary for Kayleigh to sit in a room and watch a TV, and there was no
signs.
No signs. There was no mood swings. Nothing different about Kayleigh to make us aware that there was messages being sent or she was being groomed.
When you found out that, how did that make you feel?
Devastated. Felt like we'd let her down, but we didn't know. There was no signs at all.
Age-inappropriate conversations follow, where they introduce sexual topics, share intimate details, or ask for personal information and photos. Isolation tactics come next, as they attempt to become the most important person in the victim's life, displacing friends and family. Finally, there's testing boundaries, gradually introducing more inappropriate content or requests to see how the young person responds. In Kayleigh's case, all these signs were present, but like many teenagers, she didn't recognize them as danger signals. She saw them as signs of genuine interest and affection. This is why education is so critical. The investigation revealed that Harlow had targeted other young girls online. Kayleigh wasn't his first attempt. She was simply the one who responded to his manipulation. This wasn't a one-time lapse in judgment by a confused young man. This was predatory behaviour by someone who knew exactly what he was doing. Beadman's involvement added another horrifying dimension. He wasn't just an opportunistic neighbour, he had been aware of and involved in Harlow's activities, turning what was already a terrible situation into something even more deadly. After their daughter's death, Kayleigh's family faced an impossible choice: retreat into private grief or use their tragedy to help others. They chose the latter.
We've still got some hope left. Hope. That's what's keeping us going. I'm terrified for her, what she's gone through, how she feels now. She's alive. And now I feel hopeless. A bit. Yeah, it is. It is. But I've got to keep strong for my mum and my dad and the rest.
Working with Leicestershire police, they helped create something unprecedented.
You said, what were your last words were at all? I'll see you tomorrow. Is that okay?
I'll ask you obviously saw Kayleigh that day when she was setting off in the morning. Kind of what were her last words and what do you remember what you said?
Don't spend all your money at once. I just said Sharon, she kissed me on the cheek. I said I'll see you tomorrow. And I was Sharon, the happy girl that she was.
Kayleigh's Love Story is a short film that tells Kayleigh's story from her perspective. It shows how grooming works, how quickly things can escalate, and how a smart, loved teenager can still fall victim to a predator's manipulation. The film has been shown in schools across the United Kingdom and around the world. It's been viewed millions of times. And critically, it's working. After screenings, 35 children came forward with their own disclosures about grooming they had experienced or were experiencing. That's 35 potential tragedies prevented because of Kayleigh's story. The film won multiple awards and was placed in the National Film Archive, recognizing its cultural and educational significance. But more importantly than any award, it started conversations. Parents began talking to their children about online safety in new ways. Schools implemented more comprehensive digital literacy programs. Young people learned to recognize the warning signs. Kayleigh's family didn't just allow her story to be told, they insisted it be told in a way that would actually help people. They wanted other parents to avoid the nightmare they were living. They wanted other teenagers to recognize danger before it was too late. The campaign expanded beyond the film. It includes resources for parents, educational materials for schools, and guidelines for young people about staying safe online. It addresses not just the what of online grooming, but the how and why, helping people understand the psychology behind these predatory tactics. The Kayleigh Haywood case changed how Britain approaches internet safety. It can happen to any young person with access to social media and a predator with patience and manipulation skills. The key lessons are clear. Predators are sophisticated in their tactics. Grooming can happen remarkably quickly. If you're a parent, talk to your children about online safety. If you're a young person, trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. And if you're an educator, use resources like Kayleigh's Love Story to start these crucial conversations.
Robin, I don't know what he's going through at the minute, but, you know, thanks for coming anyway. We appreciate it. Thank you.
It happened to anybody, so when I found out it was her, I couldn't believe it at first.
Kayleigh Haywood should be alive today, living her life, pursuing her dreams. She can't be, but her story can and must continue to protect others. That's how we honour her memory. That's how we make sure her death wasn't in vain. Remember her name, remember her story, and help make sure it never happens again.